Hello, beautiful people. If you have ever thought about purchasing a property on Salt Spring Island, or you're just interested in learning more about Salt Spring as a visitor, this video is going to be for you. We have done several day trips to Salt Spring as well as longer stays on the island. Today we're only going over to do the media for a listing we have coming up in Southwest Salt Spring, so we won't be doing as much exploring as we typically do, but I still thought this would be a really good opportunity to shoot this video. If you're subscribed to our channel, welcome back. If you're new here, my husband and I are a real estate team on southern Vancouver Island, and we do have a video all about the Greater Victoria areas, also known as the Capital Region District, so I can link that below. And we are going to be doing more neighborhood guides on our channel, so it would mean the world to us if you subscribed. Either way, thank you for being here. I am going to add timestamps to this video below, so feel free to skip ahead if there's a certain section you're more interested in. And this is going to be a more vlog style video, which is new for us, so please let us know if you liked it. General overview of Salt Spring: it is part of the Gulf Islands, which are located between Vancouver Island and mainland BC, and it is the largest of the Gulf Islands at around 182 square kilometers, as well as the most densely populated. Spring Island does account for over 2/3 of the Gulf Islands population, and the 2021 census indicated a population of 11,635 compared to the 2016 census, which had a population of 10,557 on Salt Spring Island. Vancouver Island is often talked about as having a slower paced lifestyle, and this is embodied to the next level on Salt Spring Island. It is very popular for artists, musicians, and people who appreciate holistic living. While there is a significant number of retirees on Salt Spring Island, there is a variety of age demographics and young families. And as I've somewhat alluded to, Salt Spring also attracts many visitors and second homeowners. We'll talk more about the community, economy, and housing market throughout this video, but first I want to touch on travel to Salt Spring. We are currently waiting to get on the ferry at Swartz Bay from Victoria to Salt Spring. It's about a 35-minute ferry ride, so relatively short compared to ferrying to mainland BC from Victoria. From Vancouver, or the Tsawwassen terminal, to Salt Spring is about an hour and 25 minutes non-stop. However, it's more likely that if you're coming from Vancouver, you're going to be sharing a ferry to several of the Gulf Islands, which makes it typically a 2 to 3 hour trip. I will put up a ferry schedule from Tsawwassen to the Long Harbour terminal to show you what I mean. And there are 3 ferry terminals on Salt Spring Island. So there's Vesuvius Bay, Long Harbour, and Fulford, which is the terminal that we're going to from Victoria. There are also many Salt Spring residents and visitors who take their own boat going between Vancouver Island, the Gulf Islands, and mainland BC. Another couple points worth noting is that you can't make a reservation to Salt Spring from Victoria, so check the schedule beforehand and ensure you give yourself plenty of time to get to the terminal. For 2 people and a car, it cost us $60, which also covers our trip back. Last May, we had friends visiting from Calgary, and we did do a day trip to Salt Spring. I filmed a 1-minute clip of it for our Instagram and TikTok. It's actually still our best TikTok in terms of plays and saves, so I'll overlay it here because I do think it gives a nice 1-minute snapshot of what a day trip could look like. Saturday morning, we woke up bright and early to catch the ferry to Salt Spring. Our first stop was Switchboard Cafe, and then we went to the Salt Spring Market to get some local goodies, including a few bottles of Viviso Vineyard wine. This is a newer vineyard on the island, and the owners are so lovely and the wine is delicious. From there, we went to North End Farms to get some cinnamon buns to bring to our friend's place that we were visiting. We actually ran into them there because they had the same idea. The cinnamon buns from here are so good, and we enjoyed those on their beautiful property. This place is actually going to be on the market, and it is stunning if you are looking for a property on Salt Spring Island. Lunch was at the Seaside Restaurant patio, and our afternoon was a visit to the Salt Spring Island Cheese Farm. There were so many baby goats. This was definitely a highlight of the day. And then we had some sangria on the rock salt patio before catching the ferry home. I'm gonna stop here until we arrive. Alex is jumping on our preferred agents call, which is a group of realtors that we meet with every 2 weeks, as well as in person annually, and they are like-minded people who we trust when we're dealing with clients, friends, and families who are buying or selling all across Canada. So it's really incredible to have access to that group and those people, and to be able to refer people we care about to agents that we trust. I'm just getting over a cold that hit me really hard over the weekend, so I'm gonna go inside the terminal and catch up on some work until it's time for us to go, and we will catch up coming off the ferry. We are off the ferry now, and we have gone left because we are going to Musgrave Landing, which is about a 35-minute drive off of the Fulford ferry. The property that we're going to is part of a strata that has its own cove and is absolutely beautiful, so we can't wait to shoot there today. Normally, coming off the ferry, we would go right into town or Ganges, which is a community hub for Salt Spring and has many local businesses, services, and is also home to the beloved Salt Spring Market. We do not own property on Salt Spring, so our perspectives come as visitors and are based on our knowledge of the real estate market. However, we have been incredibly fortunate to spend more time on Salt Spring with our friends whose family had a property there up until this past fall. I remember when I visited Salt Spring Island for the first time in October of 2017, I described it as all of my favorite things in one place. There is a really peaceful, whimsical energy to the island, and as you're driving across it, you'll see farms, wineries, orchards, and spot roadside stands where you can get a variety of local produce, as well as handmade signs directing you to different craftspeople and artisans on the island. And this is all reflected at the Salt Spring Market, which runs on Saturday from March until about October and attracts a wide variety of visitors. Salt Spring Island is part of the traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples, more specifically the Halkwanayum First Nations, Wissanich First Nations, and Chemainus First Nation, and their relationships with the land continue to this day. The economy on Salt Spring Island is characterized by agriculture, arts, tourism, and small-scale industries. As I mentioned, there are many farmers who cultivate a variety of produce, and the island has a thriving arts community with many galleries and studios. The tourism industry thrives due to the natural beauty of Salt Spring and cultural events. School District 64 includes Salt Spring, as well as Galliano, Maine, Saturna, and Pender Island, and Salt Spring has the greatest number of schools in the district. The island is bigger than one might expect. As I mentioned earlier, around 182 square kilometers, and about 27 kilometers or 17 miles long, and 14.5 kilometers or 9 miles across at its widest point. In addition to Ganges, there are 3 other villages on the island, including Fulford in the south end, Vesuvius Bay with a west-facing beach, and Fernwood in the northeast. There are also several provincial parks on Salt Spring Island where you can enjoy the natural beauty and coastline views. Similar to Victoria, Salt Spring enjoys a temperate climate. There is a fair amount of rain during the winter, but quite a bit less than other regions on the west coast, and the summers are sunny with an average high temperature of about 20 to 22 degrees. Now, a broad overview of real estate on Salt Spring. The MLS Home Price Index uses data from sales history to calculate benchmark price as the value of a typical home based on what has been bought and sold in the area. The Gulf Islands as a whole have a benchmark price of $751,500 as of December of 2023. Looking at this graph, we can see the sharp climb from 2020 to 2022, and then the market's response to the 8 consecutive interest rate increases, which brought the Bank of Canada policy rate up from 0.25% to 4.5%. And that's where we had this cooling off period happen. Since then, prices have started to creep up again, sitting at a similar spot to the late 2021 period. Now, looking at this line chart showing the average sold price by month for single-family detached homes on Salt Spring in the past 5 years, we can see the average sale price on Salt Spring is quite a bit higher than that benchmark value. Please keep in mind that the benchmark price and average sales price are not the same, as benchmark is first calculated by determining what a typical home looks like and then gives the average based on that, whereas average sales price is just looking at everything that has been sold in the area. So this is going to impact that number if there was a month where there were not a lot of listings sold, but the listings that were sold were luxury listings as opposed to more commonly seen homes. So that's something to keep in mind. Just for fun, at the time of me recording this video, there are 82 listings on Salt Spring, with an RV site listed at $138,000 and a luxury home listed at $11,975,000. I could talk extensively about the ins and outs of certain areas and those stats. However, this video is getting quite long already, and I do want to provide some more qualitative information about the Salt Spring market. However, as always, please reach out if you're interested in a more specific stats package relative to what you're looking for. Salt Spring real estate is made up primarily of low-density detached homes. However, there are some townhomes and low-rise apartment complexes as well. Another big characteristic of real estate on Salt Spring is we're not going to see the same amount of development happening that we're seeing in the greater Victoria area. And even in Victoria, we have a supply issue. Affordable housing is a huge topic BC-wide, and it is a challenge on Salt Spring Island. Of course, a big consideration for building on Salt Spring is the infrastructure of the island. So even with new developments being proposed, it's very unlikely that the density on Salt Spring is going to change significantly. All that being said, Salt Spring Island is a pretty special place to live, whether permanently or temporarily, and there is a lot of love and energy being poured into the community and hospitality shared with visitors from all around the world. We are waiting for the ferry to go back to Victoria. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, we didn't have nearly as much time to explore the island today as we were going over to shoot media for our upcoming listing. You will see that live on Thursday, and it's an absolutely beautiful property. I can't wait to see the photos and video. We had a great day with Toby from HUSSEL Media, and he always does really gorgeous work, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. I gave the rest of our overview of Salt Spring in a different format at home because unfortunately we didn't have time to film this whole video on the island, which would have been ideal, but I do think it was cool to include some footage of us going over today. And I would love to hear from you if you want to share some of your favorite spots and businesses on Salt Spring Island if you've been. And as always, if you have any questions about the Gulf Islands, Salt Spring Island, or Greater Victoria, please never hesitate to reach out. We love hearing from you and we really appreciate your time. So thank you so much, and until next time.